One of the things that I've been using in some of these previous videos is something called a function. So a function is how you do something in R or pretty much any statistical program. So as an example, up here, when I'm using these library calls to say, hey, I'd like to use these packages, this is a function. Or when I'm installing a package, that is also a function. So the way that you know that you have a function is you have a word or two words separated by an underscore or something like that, or a period as happens in install dot packages. And then you have an open parentheses. That is a hallmark of a function. So you have the function name and then an open parentheses. The arguments are what the function is expecting you to tell it, go in the middle, and then you have a close parentheses. If you notice on my screen right now, so I've typed in mean. That's one of those functions. It does exactly as it advertises. It calculates the mean of something. Is that little orange, yellow box pops up and it says, hey, it looks like you're using the mean function. Here are some things that it's expecting you to put in. And so we see that it says mean, parentheses, x, and then some dots. Basically what that means is the only thing that we have to provide it is data. And so we can provide it, age, for example. So we made that up here. We can say, what does that mean age? I'm going to hit Control Enter. And then up here, nothing really happens. But down here in my console, let's see if I can highlight that. There we go. In my console, it says, hey, you just ran mean age. Here's what it is. Here's what that value is. It's 11.75. And so, we can be like, okay, great, thanks. Or, if we needed to use that later, we can create an object and assign that to an object. And so now we can come over here in our environment and see that, oh, hey, that object has the value of 11.75. So that's something we can do. Sometimes functions will take multiple arguments. And you would separate each of those by a comma. And again, a way to know what arguments a function takes is to use that question mark that we discussed when we were talking about the packages. And that can also tell you what exactly it's expecting for the arguments. As an example, there is a function called round. That one also does as advertised. It rounds the number or numbers to a set of decimal places. This is really useful as a sidebar. When you're calculating standard deviations or something and you're like, I don't need 10 decimal places. I just need 2. 2 is great. But here we can see in that little yellow box, it says, hey, I see that you're trying to use the round function. I'm expecting you to provide me with some data or a number or something. And then I need you to tell me how many digits you want it rounded to. So if you say digits equal 0, or you just provide nothing, it's going to round it to the nearest whole number. If you want decimals, then if you want to the nearest tenth, you would say 1. To 100th, you would say 2, etc. So what we can do is we can round mean age, that value, and we can say we want it rounded to the nearest tenth. And then if we run that, we can see, oh, hey, rather than being 11.75, it's now 11.8. It's been rounded. So that was, this is a function that takes 2 arguments. This one takes 1. Some take even more. And that's where you would just check the documentation for what that function is expecting you to provide it.